to the first M5 Fitness Core Nutrition lesson. I'm Trish Brimhall, registered dietitian and M5 nutrition specialist. At M5 Fitness, we believe that sustainable fitness is more than just exercise. It's a complete and balanced approach that will extend your life and increase your enjoyment of your life experiences. Nutrition is a key component to M5 Fitness. So learning how to take care of your body with wise nutritional choices is going to increase your self-discipline, self-confidence, and elevate all aspects of your life. To first understand the role that nutrition is going to play in our body, we need to understand how our body uses it for fuel. So let's start with a couple definitions. Metabolism is the chemical process that an organism employs to produce energy. And a calorie is the measurement of heat energy, so particularly the amount that's going to be found in a certain food when it is burned. Glucose is going to be the primary fuel that our body runs on, and it can obtain that from a variety of different nutrition sources. We're going to talk about some of those nutrient sources to begin with. We've got a couple different categories. We've got macronutrients and micronutrients. Macronutrients are things like carbohydrates that are starches, the starch group, breads and cereals and pastas. Those are going to be 4 calories per gram. Proteins, those are our meats, our beans, nuts, fish, poultry, and that's going to provide 4 calories per gram as well. That's what our body uses to build muscle and repair tissue. Fats is the other category of macronutrients. Those contain 9 calories per gram, and those our body uses not only to store energy, but also as a component of each cell in our body is made up with some fats. So we need all of those macronutrients to fuel our body and provide the nutrients that we need to heal and grow. Water is sometimes considered a macronutrient. That's because we need water in large quantities. However, it does not provide any calories. Then we have the micronutrient category, and that's where we find the vitamins and minerals. Those we consider micronutrients because we need them in much smaller quantities to maintain optimal health. Those provide 0 calories. Alcohol is a separate category in itself because alcohol is not considered essential, so it's not considered a nutrient. However, it does contribute calories, and alcohol contains 7 calories per gram. Once we understand that food not only is fuel for our bodies, it's important to understand that food fills many other roles beyond just the physiological aspect. Think about all the cultural and social roles that food may play. For example, getting a hot dog at a ball game, or having birthday cake at someone's birthday, perhaps doing some business over a lunch, or a special family dinner. There's all kinds of roles that food can fill in our lives and all kinds of ways that it nourishes not only our bodies, but also social and cultural relationships. There's a lot of messages that we get in today's society surrounding food. Some of them may be positive and a lot are negative. Some of the time we get the message that food is either good or bad, and sometimes that ends up fueling the dieting industry. The problem with that is that 2/3 of the time you end up gaining more weight than you ended up losing on the diet. Instead, let's talk about having a healthy relationship with food and avoiding that kind of failure. Now, when we talk about having a food relationship, sometimes people get a little wary and a little concerned, thinking maybe I shouldn't have a relationship with food. However, all of us have one, whether it's unhealthy or healthy or somewhere in between. I'm going to read a few statements that might give you a little bit of an idea of what an unhealthy relationship with food might look like. I've been good all week, so I deserve a treat. Since I missed exercising yesterday, I have to cut way back on what I eat today. I shouldn't have eaten that dessert, and now I feel guilty. If I'm bad and I eat my favorite food at lunch, then I'm going to have to skip dinner. Some foods are good and some foods are bad. Or I have to watch how much I eat in front of other people. Anytime that those sort of comments start ringing true, that might be an indication that your relationship with food could use a little improvement. Anytime we start to assign that moral value to food is when we start to get into that unhealthy territory. Now, let's talk about what a healthy relationship with food is going to look like. I eat when I'm hungry and I stop when I'm full. Or, I eat foods that I enjoy and that nourish my body. I don't feel deprived or guilty when I eat. And how much I exercise is not determined by what I ate, but what my health goals are and how exercise really makes me feel. I can trust myself around food and food situations. And I don't base how much I eat on the people around me or who's watching, but rather on my own level of fullness. So can you see the difference between those two separate types of relationships? Hopefully, hearing some of those statements, you'll be able to identify which one you may associate with or relate to a little bit more. Once we start to understand where our relationship with food is, then we can start to improve that relationship and actually regain control. To start off with regaining control of what food should be in our life and using food as fuel, we need to talk about hunger and fullness. That may sound really basic, but for a lot of people, we don't analyze how full and how hungry we are before we eat. And that's where a lot of us can run into trouble. If we visualize hunger and fullness on a continuum, a scale as it were, from 0 to 10, 0, we're ravenous, starving, as empty as you get, running on fumes. 1, you're famished, lightheaded, weak, you can't concentrate very well, you're not yourself. At a 2, you're painfully hungry. Your stomach's growling, you're a little cranky, a little irritable. At a 3, you've got defined hunger. Your stomach is growling. And at 4, you're just slightly uncomfortable. It's just the very first signs of hunger that are starting. 5, that's neutral. That's not full, it's not hungry, it's just neutral. 6, you're comfortable, you're satisfied. 7, I would call that a full, you don't need any more food. 8, you're starting to get into that uncomfortably full range. And at 9, you're stuffed, painfully full, tired, crash on the couch, loosen the belt kind of thing. 10, you're sick, bloated, and nauseous, post-Thanksgiving kind of overeating, okay? So the goal is to start eating when you're at a 3 and then stop at a 5 for snacks or at a 7 if it's a meal. That way, you're not getting too hungry and overeating to a 10, and you're stopping where you're comfortably full and you're not so miserable and you're not ignoring those body signals. Let's talk about what these different foods are that we should be consuming and how they're going to fuel our bodies. Carbohydrates are going to be the primary source of fuel. I mentioned earlier that our body uses glucose. That's the main fuel that it runs on. Most of the time, our body is going to get that from carbohydrates. And that's going to be our starches and our fibers and breads and grains. Proteins are going to be the thing that our body is going to use to repair tissues, to build muscle, to heal, wound healing, all that kind of thing. And then fats, that's what we need to not only provide storage, but also keep us maintaining our hormone levels, helping us absorb different vitamins, and overall keeping our skin and the integrity of our body healthy. If we can view those kinds of foods as fuel and not the enemy, then we can start to improve our relationship with food. That helps us to avoid that rigid dieting mentality of saying, I have to count everything and watch and be set and deprive and cut things out. Instead, you're listening to your body, and your body's the one that's in control of eating when you're hungry and stopping when you're full. Your M5 Fitness Take Action assignment then is to complete the food and relationship quiz found on our website. And depending on how you score, you may need to make some changes to the way that you either view, talk about, or deal with food. And then after completing this Take Action assignment for this lesson, please join me and continue on to Lesson 2. Learn, be empowered, and transform your life through sustainable nutrition with Method 5 Fitness.